Good morning and welcome to the fifth video in this series on the prophecies of St. John. This video will address the Great Red Dragon prophecy of Revelations 12. In many aspects, the dragon prophecy both complemented and mirrored the beast prophecy of Revelation 13. This made the deciphering thereof that much easier. Like the beast prophecy before it, it was not a complex prophecy, for it was brimming with historical facts. For this reason, the same questions were valid. Like the beast prophecy, the dragon prophecy was also a subject of controversy amongst the church fathers. Like the beast prophecy, the dragon prophecy was also a subject of confusion. Should we analyze the book of Revelations, we shall see that Revelations 12 verse 3 was the cardinal identifying verse to the dragon prophecy. Revelations 12 verse 3 read, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head." An analysis of the text confirmed metaphors that were familiar from the Revelation 13 deciphering process. We also know that once a metaphor had a specific subject identity in a domain, the subject identity did not waver thereafter, but remained constant throughout the prophecies. These facts led to the same question as for the beast. Who or what was the dragon of Revelations 12? It was found that as for the beast, it was a complex yet equally simple prophecy once the subject was identified. Before we start the deciphering process, we must ask a few pertinent questions. Question 1. What subjects can we identify from the text? From the text we see wonder in heaven, great red dragon, heads, horns, and crowns. Our next question must be, what are their relationships, if any? We see that dragon and great is related, dragon and red is related, dragon and 7 heads is related, dragon and 7 crowns are related, and dragon and 10 horns are related. Our next question must be, What is the core message embedded in the text? If we look carefully at the text, we see that caution, hence the reference behold, is in a symbiotic relationship with the beast and the dragon. Our next question, is the factual pointer or reference I saw present? Yes, but only indirectly in the reference wonder in heaven. Why is the pointer I saw so crucial to these prophecies? The answer thereto, it confirms a fact-based prophecy. With these questions and answers in the back of our minds, we can now start the deciphering process of Revelations 12 verse 3. From the Trinity key, we know the first step is to establish the domain in which the prophecy is set. When we apply the domain test, we see the results confirm an earth domain prophecy. This fact confirmed that we now follow the earth domain leg of the Trinity key. The prophecy is now approached in bite-sized chunks and systematically deciphered. We now only consider the text highlighted in white, and immediately we encounter a challenge. The reference, there appeared another wonder in heaven, ended on a colon, confirming it and what followed after the colon concerned two different subjects. This fact implied that we must first resolve the reference, there appeared another wonder in heaven, before we could proceed with the deciphering of the reference dragon. To resolve the reference, there appeared another wonder in heaven, we must first decipher Revelations 4 verses 1 and 2. Revelations 4 verses 1 and verse 2 confirmed the manner in which St. John had received the prophecy. From the overall prophecies, we learn that St. John had received his prophecies by two means. He was primarily briefed as to the apocalypse era prophecies, whilst personal experience contributed to his war prophecies. Should we decipher Revelations 4 verse 1 and verse 2, we shall see that it described a briefing event. The reference, I looked, immediately told us that it confirmed a fact-based prophecy. St. John had recorded what he had experienced what he had seen, and what he had observed. He confirmed this fact with the warning, "Behold." In other words, do not go and look and pursue the symbolic for other meanings. What I give you is what I've seen. Let us now consider St. John's records. Once again, only considering the text highlighted in white, note the manner in which St. John had systematically structured these facts to build the prophetic picture. "I looked," confirmed a fact-based prophecy. Then he gives the warning, "Behold." Careful. This is not the obvious. He demands of you to apply your mind. I do not have your vocabulary to describe these technical features that I've seen. A door was opened. A screen unfolded in front of me. In heaven, it was above me, above eye level. He continues step by step. A first voice. He confirms he is in a venue, but he cannot see the speaker. But he also confirms at the same time by stating, first voice, that there must be two or possibly more persons present, but he cannot see them. Hence the reference, first voice. It tells us something about the environmental conditions in the venue he finds himself. It is most likely a semi-dark venue. He then gives a second confirmation. I heard. I can only hear this person speaking. I cannot see him. Then he makes a very interesting confirmation. And he says, as it were a trumpet talking to me. Look at the words that St. John used. As it were. I am comparing it to a trumpet, but it's not a trumpet talking to me. That's the closest I can compare it to. It's most likely talking about the overbearing sound system. But at the same time, the reference, the voice, talking with me, confirms personal contact. He was not in a dreamlike or trance-like state when he received and experienced these events. He was by his full wits. He confirms personal contact. He describes his environment. And this person talking to him tells him, come up hither. Come closer. Close my position. This person then tells him, I will shew thee things. I will show you, I will present to you, which must be hereafter. I will show you the future. Have you noticed the manner in which St. John is sketching the picture? If we now take St. John by his words, and we picture the facts that he has provided, we find that we are confronted by a very familiar scenario. Revelation 14 verse 1 described a presentation or briefing scenario. With the reference, there appeared another wonder in heaven resolved, we can now return to the great red dragon prophecy. We know from the reference great wonder in heaven ending on a semicolon that a new and unrelated subject followed. We must thus not try and pursue the briefing subject, for it's totally irrelevant hereafter. From the deciphering of Revelation 13 verse 1, we have learned that the references heads, horns, and crowns identified the geopolitical entity. And as we know that once a metaphor has been deciphered in the domain, the meaning thereafter do not change. These facts confirm that we need to seek our answers from history, focusing on a geopolitical entity. And once again we found that St. John's facts are beyond reproach. His 2,000-year-old facts fit like the proverbial best machine gears to a complex gearbox. Observe the text in white again. Great Red Dragon identified the nation-state of the People's Republic of China. The reference 7 heads identified the 7 heads of states during the Apocalypse era. 10 horns identified the 10 chairmen of the Communist Party during the same period, and 7 crowns upon his heads now confirm where the authority and executive power resided. More accurate it cannot get. History confirmed that during the Apocalypse era, the People's Republic of China was governed by 7 heads of state, whilst the Chinese Communist Party had 10 chairmen. And this gives us our first prophecy. During the apocalypse, the People's Republic of China shall be governed by 7 heads of state, and the Chinese Communist Party shall have 10 chairmen. But also notice the difference between the Chinese communism and Russian communism that St. John had highlighted from so many years ago. The Chinese nation and the Chinese Communist Party shall be ruled by the Chinese head of state. Thus, both ideological and political power is seated in the head of state. In contrast thereto, Russian communism is represented by the chairman of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The Russian head of state shall be the international political facade of communism, but the true political and ideological power shall reside in the shadows with the chairman of the Communist Party. From these facts, the second prophecy can be extrapolated. The Chinese head of state shall rule over the Chinese Communist Party and nation, whereas the Russian Communist Party shall rule from the shadows over the Russian head of state and nation. We can now summarize St. John's prophetic facts as follows. Prophecy 1. During the apocalypse, the People's Republic of China shall be governed by 7 heads of states, and the Chinese Communist Party shall have 10 chairmen. And the second part of the prophecy states, the Chinese head of state shall rule over both the Chinese Communist Party and the nation, whereas, in comparison, the Russian Communist Party shall rule from the shadows over the Russian head of state and nation. I thank you for watching the video on the Great Red Dragon. I trust that you also found St. John's prophecy as awesome and as intriguing. For me, it served once again as compelling evidence as to the majesty, dominion, and glory of God. For these facts were penned 2000 years ago.